Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your boy Cooley High. I have a quick story I want to tell everybody. Originally, this story was for my kids. I normally talk to them a lot. I know they get tired of me talking to them, but I decided to use social media to get to them because they're on it a lot, and they can actually go back and reference it from time to time, instead of me saying something and going in one ear, going out the other. So I'm using social media to get this across to my kids as well as anybody that wants to listen and take the story in. All right, so to get right to it, because it's a long story, the last shall be first, Mathew 20:16. I want to tell a story about how I got to be on a song called Can I Live? For those that don't know, I did a song a while ago with Cisco, a song called Can I Live? So check this out, y'all. Okay, so I'm going to skip a lot of it because it's a long story. I'm going to just kind of get right into the meat and potatoes of how this happened. At one point in time, I was in a four-man group. It was myself, my man, Mr. Butch, Make It Hot, and a guy named Kid. Four of us were a group, and we were trying to get Cisco's attention. Now, Cisco's main two guys were Make It Hot and Kid, as everybody back in the day probably already know. But me and Butch kind of came along on the ride. Long story short, we did a demo for Cisco, and this was right before the whole Thong Song album. This was right after Beauty and the second album. So Cisco was piping high, about to go into a solo mode. And we did a demo tape for him so we can, submit it to him, and hopefully he would, quote unquote, put us on and take us to the next level. Okay, so one day I was working at TCI, I was a cable man. We gave the tape to Cisco. Make It Hot and Kid were already with Cisco at the time, and they were with him listening to the CD or the tape or whatever it was at the time. I got a phone call, a beep. Back in the day it was probably a beep. So I called Kid back, and Kid was on the other line, and this is what Kid told me. And Kid said, "Yo, cool, Cisco liked the whole demo tape. He loved everything. There's only one thing he didn't like." And I'm like, "What he ain't like?" He said, "He ain't like you." And I was like, "What?" But see, Kid and Hot, they were known to joke a lot, always jokes us, right? So I'm like, "He ain't like me." He's like, "Yeah, he ain't like you." He said, "If we cut you out the group, he's going to put us on a plane tomorrow to go to LA to start on a new album. If we want to keep you in the group, we can go look for a deal somewhere else. So what you think we should do?" So I'm blown. Like, what? Like, what do you think we should do? So I was like, well, I don't want to hold nobody back. Go ahead and y'all go ahead and do y'all thing. Just, look out for me on the back end. So they laughing and giggling, all that type of shit in the background. So I'm like, "Yo, you for real?" He was like, "Yo, I'm gonna let you speak to him yourself." He put Cisco on the phone. Now, at this time, me and Cisco cool, but we not that cool. So it was a big deal for Cisco to get on the phone with me. So Cisco got on the phone, was like, "Yeah, man, I think, your voice is, real monotone and blah, 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 blah. I think it'd be best if you kind of do your own thing and whoop-de-whoop-de-whoop." And so he just kind of can't dismiss me. So guys got back on the phone, was like, "Yo, you heard it from out his mouth. What you want us to do?" So I was like, "Yo, just go ahead on and, just look out for me on the back end." They hung up the phone. I heard like giggles. I heard giggles in the background, like, it's like snickering, like, damn. So I'm saying to myself, like, damn. So I was in my mother's kitchen. I was crushed, y'all, crushed. Mr. Butch, my man, he called me back immediately. He was like, "Yo, I know you probably heard what was going on in the background, yo, but if you don't want me to do it, I won't do it. I won't sign the deal. I won't even roll with it." I was like, "No, yo, I can't ask you not to do it. This is what we've been dreaming for all our lives. Go ahead and do your thing. Just look out for me in the back." And he was like, "You sure?" I'm like, "Yeah." Boom. All right. He hung up. I'm going to try to speed the story up. Long story short, y'all, I cried like a baby. I cried tears like a baby in my mother's kitchen. A grown man with a damn cable uniform on with a utility belt around my waist in the kitchen crying. I was so crushed. I was devastated. I felt embarrassed. I'm like, what am I going to tell my mother, my family, everybody, my girl at the time? What am I going to tell everybody when all my people's gone? They on their way to LA to do this album with Cisco and Drew Hill, and they left me behind. The only one getting left behind. I was crushed. So what I did was, I lied straight up with y'all. So when they, got on the plane and left, everybody like, "Why you ain't going?" I'm lying. "Oh yeah, Cisco said he gonna come back and get me. He want me to do a solo thing." I'm making up all kinds of stuff. I couldn't say it, to people because it was just Heartbreaking. Long story short. Now, make the pour salt in the wound even more. Once they got over to LA, we was over there for a few weeks. One day, Butch called me and said, yo, you wouldn't believe what happened. I'm like, what? He was like, yo, Cisco put another dude in the group to kind of sort of replace you. A guy named Fame. And he was like, yo, the dude Fame is on fire. He make beats and he rap. He a beast. And so I'm in the house like, what? There's another guy replacing me? My heart even crushed even more. Me and my girl at the time, we got into a big argument about it because Butch was calling like 2, 3 in the morning. He was on LA time and I'm up talking about it. So me and her got to fussing and it was a big, big mess over that. I was just devastated, y'all. So long story even short, I'm gonna keep on fast forwarding the story. So the whole time I'm home, they off and on a tour with Cisco and Drew Hill. They doing this big Drew Hill tour, going from city to city. One day, the tour was coming closer to Baltimore. They was in New York. So I went to New York because Butch called me. Butch was my man. He called me like, yo, we're going to be close in town. Just come up here, just to hang out. So I catch the bus to New York and I go to the hotel, I'm with him. So I kind of experienced the whole tour life that they was experiencing every night. I'm just with them. And I watched that show and I was just in amazement. Like, wow, this is how y'all living every night? And I was on the outside and they were on the inside. I met the guy Fame. He was a real cool dude, but still, this was the guy that took my place. So me and my man Jamari was up there together. Shout out to the Hitmaker on Instagram. Me and him was together. I came back home, y'all. When I came back home, my whole mentality changed. I didn't go back to work. I had a little job, had a little apartment. Me and my man, old man Joe, had an apartment together. I never went back to work after that. I'm not telling anybody else to do that, but this is what I did. I never went back to work. I went in the house and I just wrote song after song after song after song after song. I practiced my freestyle. I just went into straight grind mode. I just couldn't stop. I was just possessed. It was like my dream was this close, but yet it was just so far away. I said, I won't stop. And I said, no matter who coming my way, whether it be Butch, even my man, of course, Make It Hot and Kid, any MC that came my way, I was going to try to demolish him. I just had to just outdo anybody that came my way. Long story even shorter. So this is how God works, y'all. Pieces were starting to move without me even knowing they were moving. Eventually, Fame didn't want to be in Cisco's group anymore. He wanted to do production, so he went to Nokio's side, and him and Nokio started producing together. So he just left the group completely. Nothing on my part. This is God moving parts for me. Once Fame left the group, Cisco felt like, well, I don't want to just roll with the 3 that I got, even though that was the original 3 when he cut me. He said, I'm going to cut Butch. He cut Butch out of the group, and he kept Make It Hot and Kid. That's why right now, if you go to the song Got to Get It, when you look at the video, you just see those two in the black suits in the middle of the street doing the Got to Get It part. It was just them two. They were moving. Butch sent Butch home, and now we're all home. God's still moving parts, y'all. Make It Hot and Kid were signed to Def Jam, but Def Jam really didn't believe in them as a group. Like, they okay, they did okay on that song, but they need a little bit more. Make It Hot and Kid circled back around for a second time. Second time, y'all. Picked me and Butch back up again. Now remind you, I've been grinding from the point I got cut all the way up until here. But God is in the background moving parts around, making room for me. Check this out. So now he comes, they come for a second time. Yo, let's try this 4-man group again. This time we do a demo. And this time I'm on fire on the demo. We gives it to Cisco. Of course, my heart about to jump out of my chest. I don't want to get cut twice. I don't even know if my heart can really take getting cut twice. Gave it to Cisco. He loved it. Flew us to LA almost the next day, and now we're in LA working on our album. Long story even shorter, once I even got to LA, I still didn't stop. My man Murder, Charles McGee, y'all see him, see McGee on Instagram doing all the workouts. He was a DJ. He used to always put on instrumentals all the time, and he would just put instrumentals on and expect us to rap. Everybody in LA on that LA time, the LA life, the girls, the weather, cars, all that. They in the streets, wilding out, having a time. I said, Murder, put them beats on. What I did, I stayed behind and I grind. So what I was doing is I freestyled over every beat Murder put on. But what I didn't know, that Murder was recording it. He was recording the whole thing. So when it was done, you know, I just went on about my way. I didn't know he was recording me. He had a CD or a tape or whatever it was, and he was Cisco's personal assistant. Wherever he went, he put the CD in. So Cisco was hearing me all the time on this CD or this mic on this tape, me rapping over all these beats, something that I don't even know even exists. I don't even know this stuff exists. So he just hear me all the time, all the time, all the time, all the time. Long story short, y'all, Can I Live comes up. Now, remind you, Teddy Riley, shout out to Teddy Riley, he was already rapping on that song. The song was complete. There's a lot of stories about how one of Cisco's rappers even got invited to rap on the song. And I'll talk about that. I'm writing a book. Y'all will read about that in my book. There's a lot of myths and stories about what happened for that to happen. But long story short, what happened was it was time for some reason, Cisco wanted to take Teddy Riley off the song and he wanted to put one of his rappers on the song. We had previously did a song called Off the Corner. Me, Hot, and Mr. Butcher. Cisco did a song called Off the Corner. We actually just did it just to be doing it and wound up making an album. And when we did the song, Def Jam asked, let me hear your group. Asked Cisco, let me hear your group. When Cisco played that song, Def Jam pointed to my part, was like, he can be on the song, whoever he is. He just so happened to be me, Cooley High. Long story short, I went from being cut out of the group, exiled, almost like a errand boy at one time, going to the store for people, getting Dutchess for people, grinded it out, God moving parts behind the scenes, opening up the doors for me. And then when I got my second opportunity, I jumped in, and lo and behold, I wound up being on Can I Live. And thank God, Teddy Riley and everybody involved did it. Didn't do me as a work for hire. They let me get my publishing, so I got to eat very well off that song. But the point I'm trying to make is, the last shall be first. Stay motivated. Don't depend on the naked eye. The naked eye can deceive you. It's not always what it looks like. I mean, sometimes you can look at a situation and be like, this don't look good at all. But if you would have told the guy on my mother's kitchen floor crying with a utility belt and a cable uniform on, that a year and a half later, I would have been on Cisco's first single, a platinum single, platinum album, and lived that for that time span that I did. There's no way in the world that cable guy would have believed that. I couldn't see that coming in a million years. Couldn't see it coming. But what I did was, I stayed at it, I did my part, and God was moving parts in the background so I can eventually get my time to shine. I just wanted to share that with y'all. Really for my kids, because they're always on social media all the time. I just want them to stay positive. If you're going for something, just go for it. Don't worry about what you see initially, because God is always moving in the background. And I just wanted to share that with y'all, and hopefully it'll help somebody continue to move forward. All right, that's what's up.